There's no way on earth that he's going to fight me. Not a chance. I will retire John Jones without even fighting him.
John Jones quit. I said it a couple weeks ago that if he didn't fight this guy, John Jones quit. And tonight, Dana White announced that he did. Unbelievable. And then the news coming out of Albuquerque, I got a lot to say.
I mean, I just feel like anybody would understand at this point. Like, you know, I'll retire the heavyweight belt if I have to. It's like, dude, give the guy what he wants at the end of the day, you know? And I'm not talking to Dana directly, I feel like I'm at a place now where, you know, like I want to take what I find to be super fights. I don't want to fight dangerous up-and-comers anymore. I want to fight dangerous, established champions.
Dana White stunned everyone by confirming John Jones walked away from the UFC, avoiding the biggest fight of his career.
Heavyweight division, take the title away from him.
John Jones called us last night and retired. John Jones is officially retired. Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champion of the UFC.
Dana White didn't waste time or ceremony when dropping one of the biggest announcements in UFC history. John Jones was done. The UFC president casually revealed that the former pound-for-pound king called him the night before and announced his retirement from mixed martial arts for good. With that, the long, dragged-out saga surrounding the highly anticipated heavyweight title unification bout between Jones and Tom Aspinall officially came to an end. Just like that, White declared Aspinall the undisputed heavyweight champion of the UFC.
John Jones called us last night and retired. John Jones is officially retired. Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champion of the UFC.
With Tom Aspinall being an officially champ, who is the #1 contender right now? Whether it's Volkov?
So International Fight Week starts Monday in Las Vegas, and Tom will be in Vegas all week with us. So we'll get together with him and figure out what's next.
The announcement left fans, fighters, and the MMA world stunned. While many had suspected that Jones was hesitant to face Aspinall, very few anticipated the legendary fighter would step away from the sport altogether without a final bout. For over a year, the UFC had been stuck in limbo as everyone waited on Jones to confirm his next move. The retirement now puts a definitive full stop on a chapter that could have given fans one of the biggest heavyweight showdowns in UFC history.
How do you feel about John Jones retiring?
Oh, yep. Zoom in on him.
Man, that's fucked up, though. He should have fought Aspinall. I think John would have beat him.
So why do you think it didn't happen? The deal went through. The money he wanted.
Nigga probably scared. You know what I'm saying? If the deal went through, how much money was it, though?
John Jones finally addressed the news after White's blunt confirmation. Breaking his silence, the former UFC light heavyweight and heavyweight champion took to social media to share a heartfelt message reflecting on his career. In a lengthy statement, he confirmed he was stepping away from the UFC after deep personal reflection. Though he didn't directly mention Aspinall or the possibility of a title unification match, Jones seemed to focus more on the legacy he's leaving behind and the lessons he's learned throughout his storied journey in the octagon.
As far as my future in the octagon, I decided that maybe I will not retire, and that I have some conversations to have with Dana and Hunter, and we have some negotiating to do. And if everything goes right, maybe we'll give you guys what you want to see.
And what would that be? Is that heavyweight, or is that Alex Pereira at heavyweight? What is that? What are you thinking?
You know, I know that we have options. And so I'm just going to see what Uncle Dana wants and what Uncle Hunter wants. And you guys will hear about it soon, I'm sure.
Jones spoke about his early days in the sport, remembering how he burst onto the scene and quickly became the youngest UFC champion in history. Over the years, he racked up wins against some of the most elite names in MMA, defending his title multiple times and solidifying his place among the all-time greats. His message struck a nostalgic tone as he thanked the UFC, his coaches, family, and the fans who stood by him throughout both the highs and lows of his roller coaster career. While he acknowledged the personal struggles and setbacks he's faced, Jones emphasized how each moment shaped him as a person and fighter.
At the post-fight press conference in Baku, Azerbaijan, site of this evening's UFC card on ABC, Dana White is asked, maybe 11 or 12 minutes into the press conference, he is asked, what's going on with the heavyweight title? In essence, I'm paraphrasing. And he proclaimed, so he was sitting on this, he didn't even announce it at the beginning. Didn't even start the whole thing with it. Talk about burying the lead. He announces to the world, Jon Jones is retired. He called us last night. He is no longer the UFC heavyweight champion. Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champion. He is then asked in a subsequent question, all right, well, who is Tom going to fight? He said, oh, Tom's coming to International Fight Week. We're going to sit with him. You know, we got the meetings, all this stuff. They don't even have that ready. Did they tell Tom even before all of this?
What stood out to many was Jones's optimistic conclusion. Though he's retiring from active competition, he made it clear that this wasn't the end of his story. He left the door open for future contributions to the sport, suggesting he might stay connected to MMA in other ways. In a brief follow-up post, Jones also shared his gratitude for the outpouring of support, saying he was overwhelmed by the love he received from fans around the world.
Jon Jones called him up last night. Coincidentally, 2 days ago, this interview with the Nelk boys that was shot on Saturday after the DBX card is making the rounds, where Jon Jones essentially says, I'm not so into it. He all but says he's retired. This could have happened 7 months ago. This could have happened on November 17th. The fact that the illustrious career of Jon Jones, the supposed greatest of all time, ends at a post-fight press conference in Baku, Azerbaijan, is a joke. Is an absolute joke. I'm sorry, but this is an absolute joke. Tom Aspinall is going to Las Vegas. At the very least, present him the title. At the very least, do something to make it up for this guy who has been sitting there watching his career just waste away for the past 7 months. Oh, by the way, his last fight was almost a year ago, 11 months. Do something. This is the way it happens. This is the way it happens.
Meanwhile, Tom Aspinall handled the announcement with remarkable class. Despite being snubbed repeatedly when trying to get the unification bout with Jones, the British heavyweight avoided taking jabs at the now-retired champion. Instead, he focused his message on the future of the division. With Jones officially out, Aspinall now carries the responsibility of breathing new life into the UFC's heavyweight scene. He assured fans that things would be different under his watch, promising an active reign and more action in a division that has remained stagnant for far too long.
Jon Jones never wanted to take this fight, and anyone who tells you otherwise is not telling you the truth. As I've said time and again, Jon Jones asked for a lot of money. He asked for the number that everyone was talking about. He's asked for a lot of money, and as I said time and again, he deserved that money. He earned that money. After much negotiation, the UFC got him that money. Did they ask for help? That remains to be seen, but they got him the number. And Jon Jones said he was in. And then a couple of days later, he said he was out. And ever since then, the UFC has been trying to convince him to come back, to take the fight, one last fight. And he said no. He's doing the reality show. He's living his best life. He's doing seminars. All this stuff. He's tweeting away.
Aspinall's rise has been impressive, particularly considering the obstacles in his path. After winning the interim heavyweight title by knocking out Sergey Pavlovich in a highlight reel finish, he later defended his interim status with a lightning-fast victory over Curtis Blades in Manchester. That 60-second knockout was a clear message that he wasn't content being a placeholder, but even as the interim champion, Aspinall had to wait in frustration for any indication of Jones's plans. That wait, which stretched to a full year, cost him valuable time during what should be the peak of his career.
What would it take to fight Tom Aspinall from the UFC? Like, what does the UFC got to do?
Set something real wild on off the cuff. I'll see you guys later.
That's it.
Yeah,
right.
thanks.
What do you think UK MMA needs now to sort of kick on again and start fighting next level?
Tom to beat John Jones and me to win the lightweight belt.
This is the only sport that I know of that you can have somebody hold your career back.
Yep.
I guess speak on that. Like, how frustrating is it? Because it's not like you're getting younger. You're only going to get older, right?
Yeah, sure. I'm quite lucky in that regard because I don't feel like I have a lot of miles on the clock, and the 32 is quite young for heavyweight.
Yeah,
so,
you're getting right in your prime.
I would definitely fight if I could.
Recognizing the sacrifice Aspinall made by remaining on standby, Dana White admitted that the UFC would make things right with him. According to the organization, Aspinall will be compensated for the financial opportunities he lost while waiting for a resolution that never came. White praised Aspinall for his professionalism, patience, and willingness to fight anyone, anytime. He acknowledged that the Brit had done everything asked of him during this long, uncertain period, and now it was finally time to reward him.
Now, ultimately, Tom doesn't care about any of this. He really doesn't. He just wants to fight. It was never about John Jones. As I've said time and again, John Jones was a great addition to the whole scenario, to the equation. Oh, wow. I could beat John Jones to become UFC heavyweight champion, undisputed, incredible. Look at me. Look at the stars have aligned for me. But ultimately, this guy just wanted to become champion. He wanted to prove he was the best. And by the way, he has been the best for the last couple of years. Yesterday, I spoke to GSP, and I told GSP, and that interview is going to air on Monday. We spoke to him at Fanatics Fest. He did it the best. Again, compare what he did to what John Jones did. And this is one of many reasons why I consider GSP the greatest of all time. When GSP beat Johnny Hendricks at UFC 167, he relinquished the belt that night. He didn't hold up anyone. He didn't stop anyone from living out their dreams. And in case you're wondering, that's a part of the fight game too. Time-honored tradition. The train rolls along. He comes back 4 years later to fight Michael Bisping. Gives up the belt. 2-3 weeks later, he's diagnosed with colitis. He beat Michael Bisping, who was the undisputed champion at the time. He didn't beat some interim champ or fight for a vacant title, and he didn't hold up the division. That's how you do it. Not this. John Jones fought Ciryl Gane for a vacant title. He didn't even beat the real champ, who was Francis Ngannou. And then, when he got hurt, he waited a full extra year to fight Stipe. The fight didn't make sense a year prior. He fought him a year later, and it still didn't make sense. And then when it was time to fight the interim champion, he campaigned for Alex Pereira. And then when Alex Pereira lost, he campaigned for Francis Ngannou. This was never about not wanting to fight. This was a calculated business decision on John Jones's end to say, hey, I could walk away undefeated. I could walk away as the man.
In fact, White seemed genuinely excited about the future of the heavyweight division under Aspinall's leadership. He praised him as a dependable and talented champion who brings both skill and energy to the table. The UFC president confirmed that Aspinall would be joining the team during International Fight Week in Las Vegas, ahead of UFC 317, where they'll sit down and map out the next steps in his career. Though Aspinall won't be competing on the card, he'll be in attendance for important discussions that will shape the next chapter of the division.
International Fight Week starts Monday in Las Vegas, and Tom will be in Vegas all week with us, so we'll get together with him and figure out what's next.
Aspinall's coronation as the undisputed champion also places him in rare company. He becomes only the third English fighter in UFC history to hold an undisputed title, following the trail blazed by Michael Bisping and later continued by Leon Edwards. It's a significant milestone for British MMA, and Aspinall seems ready to carry the responsibility. With the heavyweight division finally moving forward, fans are hopeful that Aspinall's reign will be defined by activity, excitement, and fresh matchups.
Tom Aspinall's presence is the reason why John Jones is no longer the UFC heavyweight champion. John Jones said yesterday, the fight doesn't excite me. You can make a strong case that this would be the biggest John Jones fight since DC2 in 2017. 2017. That's how long. With all due respect to the Anthony Smiths, the Thiago Santoses, the Dominic Reyes, even Ciryl Gane and Stipe. You're telling me those fights were bigger than this? What doesn't excite you about this? That you may lose? Listen, I've never subscribed to the duck stuff, but the way this has been handled has been shameful. It's been shameful. Like I said, UFC got him the money. Once he said no, it was time to move on. Tom Aspinall wants to fight twice this year. He'd like to fight in October and at the end of the year. More likely than not, you aren't getting those 2 fights. In the prime of his life, when he's killing everyone, beating them by knockout in 60, 70, 80 seconds, he had to sit around and wait for a guy because the UFC didn't want to move on in what was something that could have been determined back in November.
The news of Jones's retirement has sparked plenty of reactions from across the MMA community. Many expressed disappointment that the Jones versus Aspinall fight would never happen, while others felt relieved that the long standoff had finally ended. For months, fans had speculated that Jones was dodging a showdown with the younger, faster Aspinall. Some even launched petitions demanding the UFC strip Jones of the belt due to inactivity. With the dust now settling, those fans feel vindicated, and the division can finally move forward with clarity.
I'm being told Jon Jones has retired. Hey, you're on air, so be careful what you say here. You're telling me Jon Jones has retired?
I'm telling you that Dana White just said it. He spoke to him last night, and Jon Jones is retired, and Tom Aspinall is now the undisputed UFC heavyweight champion.
Are they saying when Tom is coming back?
No, that's why I started texting you.
Okay. Let me know if they just say when he's coming back or who he's fighting or whatever.
Okay.
All right.
I'll send them a message.
All right. Thanks. Okay. We interrupt this program.
Jones's retirement also marks the end of a complicated yet legendary career, though he only defended the heavyweight belt once, against Stipe Miocic in November after claiming the title from Cyril Gane in March 2023. His impact on the sport is undeniable. He stepped away after only 1 title defense at heavyweight, following a 3-year hiatus to move up a weight class. Despite all the promise and anticipation, fans are left wondering what could have been if he had stuck around to take on Aspinall and finish out that chapter.
Shameful is the word that keeps coming to mind. It's conniving. It's unfortunate because Jon does have one of the greatest resumes of all time. He really does. If you think he's the greatest of all time, God bless. You have a very strong case. But in my opinion, Georges St-Pierre never embarrassed himself, never embarrassed the organization, never cheated, never got caught using PEDs, beat the undisputed champion at 170, beat the undisputed champion at 185, never held up the division, vacated the title when he needed to, came back when he needed to. There's no debate. All these things matter. And yes, he has 2 losses, and yes, he avenged both those losses. All these things matter. But anyway, this isn't a Jon Jones versus GSP debate. This is Jon Jones is no longer the UFC heavyweight champion, and Tom Aspinall is. And I presume Cyril Gane will be the guy that gets the shot, and I'm okay with that. I wonder how Tom feels about that because Jon has already beaten him.
As for the UFC, the transition appears to be in motion. With Aspinall now fully recognized as the heavyweight champion, all attention shifts to what comes next. The matchmakers will have their hands full trying to line up the right opponent for his first official title defense. Aspinall has already expressed his eagerness to fight anyone, and given his current form, fans can expect fireworks in his next outing.
If you're wondering, Tom is the champ. Cyril would be number 1. There's Volkov out there. There's Pavlovich out there. He has the win. There's Blades out there. He has the win and didn't look tremendous today. And there's Almeida at 6. It's not a great heavyweight division. It really isn't. Derek Lewis says he doesn't want to be fighting for the belt. He might be 1 or 2 wins away from fighting for the belt. But what frustrates me about all this is that this could have happened a long ass time ago.
On the other hand, Jones walks away with a legacy that's both celebrated and complicated. He's widely regarded as one of the most gifted fighters in MMA history, with a resume that includes legendary title defenses and landmark performances. But his career also includes controversial moments, legal troubles, and stretches of inactivity. This latest chapter, retiring rather than facing the division's fastest rising star, will certainly add another layer to how fans remember his story.
Is Jon Jones retired? Is he fighting again?
I don't want to say that I'm retired because fighting's in my blood. Right now, I could really care less about fighting. I've been doing it my whole life at a very high level. When the itch comes back, and if it comes back, then I'll do it with my whole heart. I'll do it to the best of my abilities.
Ultimately, the UFC landscape is changing, and the baton has officially been passed. Jon Jones may have left the octagon, but the sport continues to evolve. With Tom Aspinall leading the charge, the heavyweight division is poised for a resurgence. New challengers will emerge, fresh rivalries will be born, and the title will finally be in the hands of a champion determined to keep it moving. As Jones says goodbye and Aspinall steps into the spotlight, it's a pivotal moment for MMA. The end of one era is giving rise to a new one filled with potential, energy, and renewed hope for the future of the heavyweight division. And for the first time in a long while, it feels like the best really is yet to come.